City going to be there. Houston going to be there. Golden State going to be there. That might be your top 3 teams right there. Then you're going to have San Antonio, I think, going to be there. I think Denver, really and truly, Denver might, if Oklahoma City don't get out to a fast start, I think Denver could really and truly, if they defend somebody, has the elevation for Denver. They can easily be 4 or third best team in the Western Conference. Let's remember something. The Portland Trailblazers last year was the third best team in the conference only because they had a split between so many games, for so many tiebreaker games. Easily New Orleans could have been in that spot, but they wasn't. But they was the 3rd seed, and they got swept to a 6th seed. So really and truly how tight it was last year, New Orleans easily could have been the 3rd seed in the Western Conference, or Utah could have been the 3rd seed in the Western Conference. It really truly, because the games were so tight with the between the 3 to the 8, somebody could have easily flip-flopped and we could have had a different series with everybody. But I don't know. I can't predict the future right now. I just hope that my team stay relevant in this conference for this season, try to attract somebody else to come in and help out Anthony Davis and Jrue Holiday, because I think, like I said, the sky is the limit for New Orleans. But we'll get into them probably maybe Friday, talk a little bit more after the aftermath of this game. On that note, let's go ahead on. Let's finish with the last segment, Studs and Duds, and we're going to get into Kansas City and New England on last night. Let's go straight to it. Studs of the NFL on week 6 of the NFL season. I gave my Studs Awards to the Rams and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Rams found themselves, they went to a cold game, a cold atmosphere in Denver last night. They beat the Denver Broncos. They're officially 6-0. And I like how the Steelers had a walk-off win yesterday with the Cincinnati Bengals, a divisional tough rival game. Always tight between them two franchises. So shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think the Steelers back. I think they can make some noise now in the AFC North. So I'll give them the Stud Award for this week. My maybes could Seattle be back after they just beat the hell out of the Oakland Raiders in overseas. Could they be back trying to make some noise in their division in the NFC West? Possibility, ain't no telling. San Francisco down, Arizona's down. You never know if they can, because they really was in the game with the Rams last week. So it's kind of a good time to see if Seattle can get hot and make a run back in the division and maybe try to make a run for a wild card in the playoffs. So shout out to Seattle. And also, is Minnesota back? That's another maybe. Minnesota finds they won again for the 2nd straight week. Is Minnesota back in the mix? I'm not too sure yet. We got to continue to watch. The big showdown going to be next week with the New Orleans Saints. So we're going to pay attention to Minnesota. I don't know who they play this week, but we'll talk a little bit more about them coming up as well. And my duds of the weekend will have to go to Jacksonville and Oakland. Oakland just want to trade away people. Oakland came out before the game yesterday. I read in the morning, said that they're looking for a first-round pick for Amari Cooper. If you would trade Amari Cooper, you had traded away 2 first-round talents in a matter of 2 months. So I'm not too impressed with what Oakland is doing, if that is true. But if that is true, looking for a first-round pick, where would he go? And I told this to my brother last night. I said, the fact of the matter is, I think he will go, possibly the best place for him to go would be the Green Bay Packers, because remember, they do have 2 first-round picks this year from the New Orleans Saints. But I would like to see him in Green Bay, because then I think he would get used better. I think he'd be the better receiver in Green Bay than what he would be in Oakland. And like I said, my duds would have to be Jacksonville, giving up back-to-back weeks, giving up 30-plus points. They gave up 30 to the Kansas City Chiefs, and they gave up 40 to the Dallas Cowboys. That blew my mind. I don't understand. Jalen Ramsey, they asked Jalen Ramsey after the game last week, is this still the best defense in football? He said, we don't know. It's not looking too good in Jacksonville. You hate to see this right now when this, to me, is truly the most. When I said this early in the summertime, I think this easily could have been the best conference in football because of the young talent that they have. And to say that all 4 teams are looking pretty back to their old ways is not really making me too impressed about what I said earlier in the summer. They all kind of at 500 right now. I believe, I don't know who the Jags play next. I didn't look, but I understand losing to Kansas City. I get that. Let me tell you something. That's a hot team right now. That's a hot team. I can understand that one. But losing to Dallas when they don't have no type of direction offensively besides running the football, and I know Jacksonville's weakness over the years has been running the football, but stopping the run. But I think, let's put it like this, I really think they do miss Leonard Fournette heavy because that's a bell horse. He helps control the game. He can help take that defense off the field more. They run clock. They do miss. The signs that they really do miss Leonard Fournette offensively is starting to show. So see how much his value truly is to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They still can turn this thing around, just easily. I'm talking about easily. We're not gonna disrespect them because they once at the end of the day they was the team that was the runner-ups in the AFC last year. Easily. They did defeat the Patriots at home easily. They could turn this thing around easily. So we're not going to sleep on Jacksonville. Houston's starting to get a little hot. Tennessee I'm not too impressed with them. So it is what it is right now, but I'm very interested to see what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks when it comes down to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So let's go ahead and let's finish with the last one. Like I said, my feature game. Normally this would be my Saints segment, talking about what they did the other night, but no Saints. I said, well, I'm going to pick one game, and I picked the main event from last night. Yes, that would be the Kansas City Chiefs and the New England Patriots. It did not disappoint me at all. I'm going to give kudos to kudos when it's due. You know, Pat Mahomes did throw 2 interceptions in this game. Kareem Hunt ran for 80 yards, and Tyreek Hill 142 yards and 3 TDs on the day. But you know who had a great game? I'm going to give the MVP to. I'll give it to Sony Michel. Sony Michel from Georgia had 24 carries, 106 yards, and 2 TDs. The Patriots was able to dominate up front, and that's the problem. When you let them dominate up front, the game just comes so much easier to Tom Brady. Brady went 24 for 35 and 340 yards and 1 touchdown on the day last night. That 1 touchdown came to Julian Edelman. Gronkowski had 3 receptions and 97 yards. Final score was 43-40. I think this Kansas City, and if you ask me, I know the Rams are still undefeated, but if you ask me, to be honest with you, I still say the best team in football will have to be the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm going to go back and let me pull this stat up right quick before I go there. I really want to compare who the Rams has beaten so far to start the season. They went start the season. They did defeat the Oakland Raiders, I'm sorry. They were about to be Las Vegas. The Oakland Raiders on the Monday night. They defeat the Cardinals 34-0. They did defeat the LA Chargers 35-23. They did defeat the Vikings. They did defeat the Seahawks. And they did defeat the Broncos. I'm going to be honest with you. Out them first couple of weeks, only one playoff team that they have played from the previous season. Now let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, hold on, I just had that stat up. All right, let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs and who they have defeated so far to start this season. Going back to week 1, they defeated the Chargers, they defeated the Steelers, they defeated the 49ers, they defeated the Broncos, they defeated the Jaguars, and they came up, if they just were the game managed, to me, I think the last drive when they just got too happy, but I can't get mad about that because that's who they are. They are an explosive team, got an explosive offense. They have an explosive quarterback that can make plays like that to Tyreek Hill down the field. They just explosive. They can score that fast. They just left too much time for Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady just did what Tom Brady does. Just go up and down the field, find them to the right field goal range, and boom, that was the ball game. You ask me, I think they played the hardest schedule so far. than what whatchamacallit did. Now, granted, both teams got wins, significant wins over the Chargers and the Broncos and the 49ers. But you beat the Steelers in Heinz Field. You beat the best defense in football in Jacksonville. You had two out of three ain't bad. You defeated two playoff teams from the previous season. I think Kansas City's still the best team in football. I think so. And I'm really waiting because when I didn't know they played on Sunday Night Football again next week. I'm interested to see two teams that lost. A lot of people think that the Cincinnati Bengals lost this past week on a blown call, so that was an illegal pick, and it could have been. And Antonio just run up the gut and wins the game. That could have easily been an illegal pick. They hungry. They want to stay in the mix of their division, and Kansas City still want to stay in the mix on top of the AFC. So I think this really and truly about to be a great match. I think this could be potentially a better game than what we saw last night, because even last night was a hell of a game. Because one thing about this is that I got to give Pat Mahomes, nobody goes into Foxborough down by 15 like they were and come back and start making plays in the second half like he did. Threw a bomb to Kareem Hunt, threw a bomb to Tyreek Hill, threw another bomb to Tyreek Hill. Like he was just 3 touchdowns in the second half. This team is built to last for a long time. I'm telling you. And I know they didn't win last night. It would have been good for them to win last night to make a statement, to have tiebreakers over everybody, to make sure the road to the Super Bowl has to come through Kansas City. But this is my question for Kansas City fans. Things like this can show when Kansas City is going to start struggling. Had a great game last night, but will we see them get back to winning ways, or are they going to start struggling like they normally are accustomed to? We start off 5-0, but we might lose the next 3. We might find ourselves at 5-3. Might win the next 2. We might be 7-3. Then we might lose the next 2. We at 7-5. Then we might win the next 2. We at 10-5. And then the following week of the season, we find ourselves at 10-6. At one point in time in the season, we was the best team in the AFC. Now we have to fight for a wild card, or if don't let the LA Chargers get hot in the middle of the season, and all of a sudden you find yourself now not even in the wild card. They took your spot and they win the division. So this is what I want to see out of Kansas City for the next couple of weeks. If they're going to continue to get back to their winning ways and find themselves back at the top of the AFC, because they still are at the top of the AFC, but to stamp their ticket to guarantee that the road to Super Bowl 53, the road to Atlanta, has to go through Arrowhead Stadium. That's why I want to see out Kansas City for the next couple of weeks. And I think that's what should be the storylines, because now that they do have their first loss, what's going to be the question next? Rams, same thing with the Rams. That's why I'm really pulling, and I'm going to get into this later in the week. Rams are undefeated. I just put the schedule down, but let me pull it up. Let me pull it up, and let me see what's their chances of the continuing to probably be undefeated before they get to New Orleans. Let me pull it up. There's some important information. I got to pull this one up. So the Rams play the 49ers this week at 3:30. Then the following week they play the Green Bay Packers at home. And then they go on the road to play New Orleans in New Orleans. Saints find themselves winning in Baltimore. Then the Saints got to go to play in Minnesota. If they win that game, I expect them to be kind of banged up after that game. That's going to be a hard game. 2 back-to-back weeks of 2 physical teams. But if you find yourself at 6-1 against probably the best team in football, who you probably have to go through their house to get to Super Bowl 53, this is what I want to see. This is going almost, because in that same weekend, LSU play Alabama. It's just kind of funny that we might have the undefeated versus the one loss in the college ranks and down the street in the Superdome. So Tiger Stadium going to be live on Saturday, and the Superdome going to be lit on Sunday. Hello, somebody. So it's, to me, I want to see how, because to me, on that schedule, besides with them playing the Vikings and beating the Vikings on Thursday Night Football, that would be the best team that they have played since Minnesota, and that would be New Orleans in New Orleans. I remember last year that they didn't go. They went down there last year, and the Saints, they lost their winning streak against the Rams in